All right. Hello again, adventures, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This daily vlog 2025 number 5. Yeah, I was right. So this is today. Success has claimed another business. I said this quite a few different times over the years, but from a purely educational spectrum, success is the absolute worst teacher you can have. If you succeed at something the first time, there's a very, very, very good chance you are going to learn the wrong thing from that, because there are so many different reasons why something might succeed. And if you don't understand what it is you're doing well enough to know all the different variables involved, there's a very good chance that you are going to just pick a variable that you do understand and go, well, that's why I succeeded, because of this, because it's the only one that I understand, and therefore it was the only one I tried to control for, and that means that I win. And what inevitably happens is you won't learn how the actual thing you're trying to do, whether it's business, whether it's playing guitar, whatever, you won't actually learn how to do it properly. You will focus on this one aspect, thinking that's the most important thing, and that's the only thing I need to know to succeed, or a small group of them, and completely ignore everything else. And once you effectively stop getting lucky, you will start your ability to continue doing that task will plummet drastically. And in the business world, what that means is your business will close. Why am I talking about this? Well, I just watched a video for a channel that's going to remain nameless because I don't want to call this channel out specifically. I don't want to... I'm not big enough to send, hate to them. But what they did was not intentional. They just... Again, they succeeded very early on and then didn't learn how to run a business. And now the YouTube channel is over. I think they formed an LLC, which is a very, very smart thing to do if you start earning money from something like YouTube or something like that. Or anytime you start earning enough money to kind of support yourself, form an LLC. It's an absolutely brilliant business decision. It protects your personal assets from bad things happening in the market. And that's really, really important. So they formed an LLC or something similar to that. The LLC is gone. They closed it. And they are leaving YouTube entirely. They're currently in the market for a job. They haven't been able to find one right now because the job market sucks. And it's upsetting to me to watch someone that their full-time job was creating YouTube leave the space, not because they got burnt out, not because, they want to try something new, or, something changed in their life where they're like, you know what? I had a kid, or, now I'm a homeowner, or something happened, I don't want to continue in this thing. No, the reason that these people are leaving YouTube is because they aren't making enough money to support themselves. Their business failed, and I really, really hate to see that happen, especially since it didn't need to. Again, this is a perfect example of success lies. Success lied to this group of people, made them think that all they needed to do was create good content, and then they'd never have to work again, and they can get all the monies ever. There was no need to market. There was no need to diversify their income streams. No, no, no. All we need is to make videos, and that will make us all the monies ever. And that's not how it works. That has never been how it works. If you look at any successful YouTuber that succeeds beyond, going viral, they have never just made videos. They will have merchandise. They will have Patreon or some form of alternate or some alternate form of support. They will do brand deals. They will do all these different things. And that's how they continue to keep going. And they will do things like collaborations. Collaborating seems to have become a lost art outside of like the really big echelon of YouTubers. The people that have millions of subscribers, they will still collaborate. But small YouTubers just don't collaborate anymore. And it's the dumbest decision I have ever seen in my life, because collaboration is still one of the most effective ways to grow your audience, bar none. You can try a million other things. You can hope that you'll go viral. That'll grow your audience super quick. It's a fluke. You cannot rely on, well, if I go viral. Viral is a complete statistical anomaly. There was a phrase that I learned back in retail. Hope is not a business plan. You cannot stake the livelihood of your business on the idea of, well, hopefully something good will happen. You just can't do that. So this particular channel, you want to know why I know that they didn't learn how to run a business? Because in the video where they announced that the channel was over, they also announced, by the way, here's our merch site. The channel itself got big during 2020, 2021, when traffic on YouTube and streaming in general just exploded, and they started seeing crap tons of money. Advertisers were advertising a lot more on YouTube and Twitch and all these things. Brand deals were better than they'd ever been because everybody was at home and watching these, so they had more eyes on them than anything. And they just assumed that, like, they quit their jobs and they started doing this full time, which is a perfectly logical thing to do. I'm not saying that was the wrong thing to do. But they went for 4 years, and in 4 years, they never created a merch store. How? There's so many different ways to create a merch store. Some of them are better than others. But if you are doing well enough that not only do you quit your job, but you go complete 100% full-time into YouTube, one of the first things you should start looking at is to find a way to create a merch store. And it doesn't have to be massive. Just some shirts, hats, maybe a refrigerator magnet or a sticker set or two, something that has your logo on it that you can give to other people. Because it does two things. One, it creates an alternate income source for you. Now, a lot of times your merch stores are not going to be massive. Unless you're someone like Critical Role, your merch store is not going to be the majority of your your income. If you're running a merch store well, and I'm making these numbers up out of nowhere, just based on my own understanding of how business works. So there's a very good chance that I'm 100% wrong on this. But my theory is your merch store, as far as like raw income from it, it might make up 10 to 20% of your total revenue. If you're running it properly, you might be getting 10 to 20% of your revenue from your merch store. That's still a pretty, and if you're doing really, really well, you might start seeing 30, 40, maybe even up to 50% of your income coming directly from your merch store. If you found a way to create merchandise that people just really, really like, merch can make tons and tons and tons of money. But again, it's a lot of that tends to be either flukes or people that just really, really understand manufacturing and merchandising in general. If you have someone that's got a really really good merchandising head, they can make a lot of money off of merchandising. Who would have thought? But the key thing for the key reason for making a merch shop is not the raw income that comes from it. It's the fact that, first of all, it's free advertising. Anything from your merch shop should have your logo or your aesthetic all over it, so that anytime these people are out, they can go, dude, that's a cool shirt. Oh yeah, it's my favorite YouTuber. Dude, that's a really cool pin. Where'd you? Oh, it's my favorite YouTuber. You should check them out. It's free advertising. Or technically, it's not even free advertising. They are paying you to advertise your stuff. Now, the actual return on investment and the ability to kind of track how many viewers you get from merchandise versus how many viewers you get from like YouTube just recommending you, unless you're like a Fortune 500 company, you're never going to figure that out. But it's still incredibly valuable, and it starts an alternate income source that is not going to be reliant on how ads are doing that particular month. Newsflash: January and February are the two lowest months of the year for ad revenue across the board. Not just YouTube, not just Twitch. The entirety of the world stops buying things. Aside from the Super Bowl, which happens in mid to late January, I think, somewhere around there, advertisers just stop spending money on ads. It's one of the reasons why Super Bowl ads are as expensive as they are, because while the rest of existence is just doing things that are not putting their eyes in front of advertisements and buying things, the Super Bowl, everybody tunes in, everybody gets really, really excited, so there's a ton of eyes on it, and the best ads come out for this is a Super Bowl. So, running a business, if you get real popular and then you start noticing January and February, oh my God, we're not making any money, or we're losing so much money, we must be doing something wrong. No, it's just the market. That's how it works. And when you have alternate revenue streams like something like Patreon or Ko-Fi or whatever you want to do so that people can just give you money, those are not going to be hit as heavily, especially subscription-based support, because a lot of people forget what they subscribe to. So as long as you can get them to subscribe at one point, a lot of times it's going to take a lot of stuff to happen in their lives for them to stop subscribing. There are entire businesses where their entire focus, like I've seen ads for like 3 or 4 different companies who the entire thing that they do is they look through your credit cards and your bank account and stuff like that. They find everything that you're subscribed to. And then they give you a list of all the shit that you're subscribed to. Then they go, so which of these do you want to cancel? A lot of people just don't realize that they're subscribed to things. That's why Patreon is, well, used to be as effective as it is, because you really only have to hook them that one time. And a lot of times they will just keep, as long as it's an automatic thing, they will just keep supporting you. It's another reason why Twitch subscriptions work relatively well as well, because again, they automatically renew. So what happened with this company is, this YouTube channel, during lockdowns and everything, they got massive. Like they were making decent content. It was not amazing content. I would say if like Markiplier is like 10 out of 10 production value, which I would describe Markiplier, his high concepts stuff, like his choose your own adventure style stuff that he's done a couple times, that I would give like 10 out of 10 production quality. And then when we look at something like me, I would give me like maybe 2 out of 10. On a good day, I might be a 2.5 or 3. This company or this YouTube channel was probably in the neighborhood of like a 4 to 6, depending on the video that they put out. They didn't have huge production values, but it was scripted. It was edited fairly well. It was very easy to follow. If I remember correctly, they had subtitles, which is a difficult process. if you're not auto-generating them. So all those things, very good. They were making a decent quality product. However, people were just desperate for things to watch at that point. And so they saw all of this stuff going. And this is me assuming. This is me making conjecture. They have not said this specifically, though they have kind of hinted at it in their This Is Over video. They started doing really, really well. And they go, well, we've got a good product here. All we need to do is make really good videos. No, it's not all you need to do. You need to market your channel. No. 80% of all views come from the algorithm. So the only thing you have to do is master the algorithm. I have heard that statistic so many times. Just over and over and over again. And I don't know what the actual number is because the number changes randomly. I've seen it anywhere from like the low 70s all the way up to like the mid 90s of your views come from the algorithm. And the reason that's such a popular statistic is we can't control the algorithm. So it's like saying, well, it really doesn't matter what I do. We just have to hope that the almighty algorithm is going to give me all the monies. Hope is not a business plan. I'm going to keep saying this. Hope is not a business plan. If you are relying on the YouTube algorithm as your only source of marketing, you are going to fail. Example, YouTube channel that I'm not naming. You failed because you don't understand how to run a business. They didn't market their channel. I have not watched all their videos. I would watch their videos when it would, surprisingly enough, when it would show up in my feed. I'd watch them every so often. And I would... so I don't know if they were doing a lot of collabs or anything like that. I don't remember seeing them collab with any of the big names in that particular corner of YouTube. Of which I'm somewhat familiar with that area of YouTube because it's an interest of mine. So as far as I can tell, no collabs or very limited collabs. Okay, you don't have to collab, but it's an extremely effective marketing tactic. Okay, what about what about Twitter? They using that for advertising? Not really. Twitter is evil. And so you can't use it for any... No, Twitter is a tool, and it's an extremely effective marketing tool. It always has been. If you have decided that because the person that owns it is someone that you don't like, that you're not going to use it, congratulations! Your business is going to fail. TikTok is the exact same way. TikTok, I'm not particularly fond of the people that own TikTok. However, TikTok is an extremely useful marketing tool when used correctly. None of this stuff was done. Okay, well, they didn't market it. Not every single company has to market things. They can't be the sole reason that they failed. No, again, they didn't make a merch shop until they closed the business, which is really impressive. As far as I can tell, I don't believe that they had a Patreon, or if they did, it was not particularly well marketed. Again, everything comes back to marketing. Mostly because I have a degree in marketing and I understand that. Also, marketing is extremely valuable. If you've ever seen somebody talking about a movie that was a financial failure, and you go, well, wait a minute. It said that this movie, cost like $200 million to make, and they made like $250 million. How is that a failure? Because marketing costs basically take the budget for the movie and multiply it by 2. Just double it. That's your marketing cost. Whatever, like if it costs $200 to film the movie and edit it and everything, it'll cost you between $100 to $200 million to market it. Marketing is incredibly expensive. You want to know why it's expensive? Because it's worth it. Marketing by far, thank you, phone. Marketing by far is the most expensive thing that most businesses will deal with, and it also has the highest return on investment of anything else you will do. Marketing is really essential, especially in the market that we live in the world that we live in, where, fun fact, marketing the idea of marketing started in like the late 40s, early 50s. Around that time, they called it the birth of marketing. Why do they call it the birth of marketing? Because before then, you didn't actually market your products. The biggest issue most companies had was getting their products in front of people. If they could get it in front of people, they would just buy it. That's why door-to-door salesmen were such a big deal, turn of the century and before them, because the biggest problem most companies had was just getting to their customers. People were separated a lot of times by miles. They would come in to buy the things once a week, once a month, once every couple of months, depending on where they were living. So getting your product in front of people was the only thing you had to do to make money. As long as it was a decent enough product that people would want it, all they had to do was get it in front of people. That changed around, like I said, the 40s and 50s. At that point, due to increases in increases in the ability to travel, increases in disposable income and the things like that, the economic boom that we had after World War II, you couldn't just put your product in front of people because now they had choices and they actually had to make choices. And that's where marketing came in. Marketing was entirely designed to help people make choices. Yes, there's lots of things out there, but you want to choose our product because of this. There's a bunch of different techniques that you can use. It's a really fascinating subject. There's a lot of psychology that's gone into it. But nowadays, especially on something like YouTube, there are so many people that are doing probably the exact same thing you're doing, if not just slightly different, that there's no possible way that you're going to be able to exist by simply getting it in front of their eyes. You have to have some kind of marketing strategy. Collabs work really, really well because you take the trust that an audience already has in a different creator, and then you get to collab with them, they get to see your stuff, and you get a chance to kind of win them over to you at that point. And at the same time, the person that you're collabing with gets the same chance with your audience. It's a win-win situation almost every single time. The only time it's not going to be a win-win situation is when you have a really, really big channel collabing with a really, really tiny channel, where the audience of that channel, even if the entire audience went over to the bigger channel, which will never happen, but even if it did, it would make a dent in the channel. In those instances, the only person that's going to be making anything out of it is going to be the smaller channel, which long, long times ago, there were YouTubers that would do that. They would find smaller channels and they would collaborate with them in an attempt to try and get them more of the views. I remember NerdCube did that with Emma Blackery. Hannah Hart did that with I can't remember their name now. With another very, very small YouTuber. Hannah Hart had them on My Drunk Kitchen. Because that particular YouTuber was a really, really big fan of Hannah Hart. You know, that used to be a thing that happened. I don't think it really happens anymore. And if it does, a lot of times it's one of those things of, oh, this guy looks like he's going, or they're going to get really big. I might as well collaborate with them when they're small, and therefore we already have a relationship, and I can kind of get stuff off them as they get bigger and bigger, and I can claim that I made them. So yeah, I watched the entire video of this channel, which is not long. It's like less than 10 minutes, or maybe it's around 10 minutes, something like that. But I watched the entire video of the face of the channel just saying, I really wish I could have done this longer, but I can't support myself on this anymore, and I need to get a real job. I'm just not making money. And it just really, really upset me because, first of all, the content was good content. I enjoyed their content. It has inspired some of my content. And it didn't have to happen. Were they ever going to be like Markiplier or Critical Role or anyone like that? No, they were never going to be that large. But could they have made a decent living being content creators? Absolutely. Especially since I guess I can at least name the kind of corner of YouTube we're in. They were in the kind of D&D, greater D&D community. And one of the things about specifically the D&D or the TTRPG community is there's a lot of ways to, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of ways to monetize an audience in the tabletop RPG community. You can do things like you can write adventures and publish them on a number of different places. If you're publishing exclusively for Dungeons and Dragons, you can publish them on the DM's Guild. And then you can link to them. You can do what I did, where I created multiple classes for D&D 5th edition that technically still work with 5.5 because my subclasses all happened at 3rd level anyways. The only thing that's not taken into account is like weapon, what were they? Weapon proficiencies, whatever those are called. The special weapon stuff that they added in 5.5, which is a simple thing to add. Like I did that, and I used to make pretty decent money off of it. Like I made when it first launched, I made a few $1,000s off of it over the lifetime of the Dragon Knight, the Blood Knight, and the Way of the, I can't remember, my monk subclass that was really not all that great. I think I made a couple $1,000s over the lifetime of them, which again, they've been out for about a decade now. So $1,000 in a decade is not good. But for a channel as small as mine to make that much money off of it, like that's a pretty decent chunk of change. And the channel I'm talking about was significantly larger than mine. So they could have very easily monetized that route from a merchandising route. Do you know how many companies exist right now that print custom dice? Basically what you do is you go to a company and you say, hey, I want custom dice and I want this symbol on this face. And as long as you have a way to deal with inventory and shipping, you can make a pretty nice, like, tabletop RPG people like to buy dice. I don't know if you figured this out, but everybody likes dice. So you can monetize it that way. You can't, like, again, the merch route, there's so many different things that you can make. And D&D people love wearing their favorite stuff. Put famous sayings from your YouTube show on shirts, and then you're golden. Like, there's just so many different ways to monetize. And then there's the whole convention circuit. Again, I'm a bit spoiled because in Wisconsin we have a lot of tabletop RPG conventions. But spending the money to get a booth at a convention, or if you're big enough, contacting conventions and see if you could become a featured guest, maybe get them to comp a booth for you, comp some tickets for you, things like that. Like, that can be a really, really good way to shore up your income, doing the convention circuit and stuff like that. And you don't have to go to like SDCC and Gen Con, you know. Going to things like Gamehole Con here in Madison, here in Wisconsin, started as a relatively small convention. Now it's decently big. Like Wizards of the Coast sends sends multiple people every single year. But things like Gary Con, Dance Con of the Vale, like all of these are small local tabletop RPG conventions that you can very easily get a booth. Have have a tablet running a playlist of your YouTube videos, sitting there and sit at your booth and talk to people. Have something to sell to them, whether it's t-shirts, hats, dice, whatever. Just have a decent inventory of stuff that you can sell. There's a very good chance that you will over the weekend make up the cost of the booth and then some. These are all like really, really simple ways to make money off of your YouTube channel. They did none of them. Again, they ended the channel by going, by the way, here's our merch store. How do I... So anyway, this is my formal warning. And I know somebody's going to go, well, if you're so smart, why isn't your channel bigger? I have mentioned this many, many more times. I know exactly what I need to do to get my channel bigger. I am disabled. My body is literally ripping itself apart every single day. It hates me. It punishes me on a regular basis. I simply do not have the strength or mental fortitude to do the things that I know would be extremely effective in making this channel bigger. Like, that's why my channel is not bigger. Does that mean that I could be the next Critical Role? Absolutely not. But I think if I wasn't, if my disabilities were not as severe as they are, to where they prevent me from doing 90% of the things that I want to do, I think I could do this full time and make more money than I make on disability. That's for sure. I might even be able to live on my own. Not great, but again, I lived on my own for nearly a decade working in retail, and the best year I ever had in retail, I think I made like $27,000 that year. That was the best year I ever had as far as income is concerned. And I was able to live on my own with no roommates for almost a decade. I think it was 7 or 8 years. So do I think I could make that much money doing YouTube? Hell yes. If I was healthy. So anyone that wants to come in, well, you have less than 1,000 subscribers. How do you know anything? Because I have a fucking degree in this shit. And when I could work, I wasn't just good, I was gold. I was the person that they would send to stores that were failing, and it would take me 6 to 9 months to completely overhaul the entire work culture of the store, to the point where it would be in the red, and then we would be getting bonuses by the end of the year. I was amazing. And it's taken me a long, long time to be able to admit that, because I have severe self-confidence issues. But I was phenomenally good at my job. And I understand business really, really well. So anyway, enough arguing with people that don't exist. If you want to do something as a job, if you want to make your living off of doing something, bare minimum, you need to understand that this is no longer a hobby, it is a business, and you need to understand how businesses work. You should bare minimum familiarize yourself with the basics of the tax code. I do not mean read through the entirety of the tax code, but you should understand the things like payroll taxes. You should understand how to form an LLC and what that does from a tax standpoint. You should probably talk to an accountant. There are tons of accounting firms that you can just go to them and say, hey, I have a business. I need to pay my taxes. Tell me how to do that. And they will charge you a nominal fee, and then they will do your taxes for you, and it's significantly cheaper than having an accountant on staff until you reach a certain point. So understand, if you want to take a hobby and turn it into something that you make your living off of, you have to understand this is now a business. It's how it works. It is a business, and you have to treat it that way. You need to understand the very basics of how marketing works. You cannot assume that whatever you're doing, whether it is whittling wooden flutes, or it is running a YouTube channel or running a Twitch channel, you cannot just assume that if I make a good product, people will just come and give their money. That's not how it's worked. That's not how it currently works. That's not how it has worked for over, 70 years now? Easily? Almost 100 years it's been since that has been a viable business method of make a good product, put it in front of people, and you will make money. It's not how it works. You have to understand the very basics of marketing, and you have to use the tools that are available to you. That means getting a Twitter account and using it to advertise your stuff. It means maybe getting a TikTok account and using that to advertise your stuff. Possibly getting an Instagram account. Facebook, you can skip. It's a waste of money. Don't do it. It might mean opening up an Etsy shop or creating some kind of a merch shop, but you have to understand that this is how businesses work, and you need to treat it as a business. Second, diversify your income streams. You cannot rely on one website. First of all, websites can disappear. Congress in the U.S., I think they've passed a law, or they're trying to pass it, I don't know, that's going to ban TikTok. So if you are making all of your money off of TikTok, which I don't think is even possible, because I'm not sure if TikTok pays, or if they do pay, they don't pay very well. But if your entire existence is based on TikTok, guess what? It's possible, though there are rumors that it's not going to go away, but it's possible that your entire income stream is going to disappear real quick here. And then you're screwed. So you cannot put all of your eggs in one basket. You cannot have just a single website be the only way that you make income. And it sure as hell better not be exclusively through ad revenue. Get sponsorships. I will mention this particular channel did mention that they were getting sponsorships, and then the sponsorships dried up as ad revenue just went down. That is a thing. If you're unaware, sponsorships are based entirely around how much people are buying, and when ad rates go down overall, it means people just aren't buying stuff anymore. And so, if you're seeing ad rates go down, you're probably also going to see either the volume of sponsorships that are available to you going down, or the actual price of the sponsorship, how much they're willing to pay you for each sponsored video, whatever, going down, because it's reacting to the market. But you should not be focusing exclusively on ads or exclusively on sponsorships, because again, the sponsorships will fail. Sponsorships will go down very, very quickly. When the market goes into a recession, companies start being significantly more careful with how they spend money, and that includes their marketing budget. Again, marketing is very, very important, and that means that spending it in the exact right place is just as important. So find ways to diversify. Merch shops, subscription-based initiatives, and anything else you can do to find alternate ways to make money. Publish ventures. Write, short stories. Publish them on Kindle or something. Whatever you need to do to make it so that all of your income is not tied into one tiny thing that you have absolutely no control over. Yeah, like I said, this entire video was inspired by watching a channel that I really, really like have to announce that not only is the channel itself not going to be making any more content, but they're completely leaving the creative space to try and get a quote-unquote real job or regular job. That's really, really sad, and it didn't need to happen. 100% it didn't need to happen. The channel itself is large enough that it could have sustained itself in other ways, but success lied to them, and they didn't learn how to run a business properly. I assume, again, I haven't talked to these people, and if for whatever reason, the people that I'm talking about, if you recognize what I'm talking about here and you decided to come to this channel because you're mad or anything, again, this is not me critiquing you personally. This is an extremely common thing that when I was dealing with people, it was new managers. New managers would succeed at something, and they would learn succeed at the first thing that they tried to do. They would learn the wrong lesson. This is an extremely common problem for new owners, new managers, just new people to business, is if they succeed early on, or they suddenly succeed. It might be that you were doing stuff for a while before, then the lockdowns hit, and then you saw this huge thing, and you just learned the wrong lesson. It's sad. It's frustrating, but this is not 100% on you. So much of YouTube is focused on, well, no, you need to get the algorithm. And if you get the algorithm, it's the worst advice anyone can give you is to focus on the algorithm. You have no control over that. I understand that it's a huge portion of your views. And if the only thing that is going to keep you out of the poorhouse is views, then you're fucked. That's just how it works. Find ways to diversify your incomes to stream, and then it doesn't matter if the algorithm just screws you over. Total Biscuit, one of my favorite YouTubers ever. I'm still to this day sad that he's no longer with us. He started this video series where it'd be like, I'm going to spend 45 minutes talking to you about this. And I can't remember what he used to call his series, but basically he would just make these long form videos that were 20 to 45 minutes talking about a game, basically doing kind of like a deep dive or review style thing. And he would have gameplay playing underneath it. Half the time, the gameplay was not even of the game that he was talking about or the subject that he was... Oh, that's what it's called. WTF is. That was his series. When he started doing this, the algorithm liked between 5... What was it? If I remember correctly, at that point, it was between 4 and 7 minute long videos. That's what YouTube prioritized. And if you were making long form content, it was burying your shit. If Total Biscuit had been chasing the algorithm, he never would have been able to become as successful as he did, because what happened was the algorithm changed and it started liking long form content better. And he had already, not only was he already making long form content, but he'd been doing it long enough that he had a really high quality product. And then the algorithm shifted to where it liked the kind of stuff that he was doing. And then he started doing really, really well. I remember him on a podcast talking about that. I can't remember what it was, what podcast it was. It might have been the Co-optional podcast. But he was just talking about the fact that, like, yeah, this idea of chasing the algorithm and figuring out what the algorithm likes, it's a waste of time, because the algorithm is going to constantly be changing, because the innovators are constantly going to be trying new things. And every so often, an innovator is going to innovate. And it's going to attract people to that new thing. And then the algorithm follows what people like. And people are going to go to the innovator and they're going to go, oh, that's really, really cool. And then the algorithm's going to change. And it'll be because an innovator created something that changed the algorithm. Not because 100,000 adapters have all mastered the algorithm. And then when the algorithm changes, all the people that were making all this stuff that used to be favored by the algorithm, they were fucked. And so TB basically said, yeah, I wasn't chasing the algorithm. I made the kind of videos that I want, and the algorithm eventually caught up to me. And it may not always be that way, but for right now, the algorithm likes my stuff. So stop focusing. Again, I understand it's a big part of viewership. You're never going to be able to adequately chase the algorithm. It's always going to be changing. And the people that are going to change it are the innovators. And probably 99% of innovators are not going to benefit from their innovations. But I will guarantee 99.9%, 99999 repeating percent of people that are chasing the algorithm are going to fail a lot harder than the innovators are. And the innovators are going to be able to use those innovations in other places. Yeah. Business is a fascinating subject, and everyone that just treats it as, oh, capitalism, gross, you are part of the problem. 100%. Learn how businesses work. Learn how the economy works. Then, you don't like something about the economy, then you can change it when you understand how it works. If you just sit there going, la, 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 capitalism bad, you're never going to change anything. You're just going to sit there and stew in your own filth. That's all for me today. And we'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.